Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hebrew Canaanite YouTube channel. Um, what I want to talk about today is a thing that I've been wanting to talk about for a very long time, but I just couldn't find the way to do it, couldn't find the right words to go about it, and was frankly a little bit scared of talking about it. And the subject is a certain clique within the Zionist cult, within the Zionist system, within Zionist society, within the state of Israel, within Jewish Israeli society, however you want to call it. I prefer the Zionist cult because I believe this is the most productive and accurate description of what we're talking about that helps us understand what's going on here in the best way. So it is a clique of people within the Zionist cult who call themselves leftists, who call themselves even radical leftists, who think of themselves as radical leftists, and who are convinced within themselves, within their own clique, they are convinced that they are part of, the left, that they are helping Palestinians, that they are the good guys. They are absolutely certain of this. But I want to explain today why I have come to realize more and more and more in the last couple of years uh, why this clique is actually an integral part of the Zionist system, why it is important for the continued existence of the Zionist system, why they are serving the Zionist system in particular and the entire colonialist, imperial, white supremacist, Western supremacist system, capitalist, human supremacist, patriarchal, Christian, Judeo Christian system in general. And and I think that one of the first things that I want to say that is that this is tricky. This is kind of hard to see. This is why it took me so long to see it. But following the October 7th attack, I was already anti Zionist. I already called myself anti Zionist and I already held anti Zionist positions. But in the almost 2.5 years, almost 2.5 years since then, I have had to go through development to go more deeply into my anti-Zionist understanding, to understand the Zionist cult in a more detailed and nuanced way, and unfortunately, to see a lot of people who I thought were allies in the struggle for liberation, and to realize that they're not allies, to realize that they're still part of the system, that they're still part of the cult. And the process of me leaving the cult, actually leaving the cult, until now, in my mind only, I'm still in Haifa, so I'm still physically inside the cult, but my mind, I feel, is becoming more and more liberated every single day. So in this process, whenever you go even further away from the cult, whenever you liberate yourself more, you see those people who are not yet liberated, who are still serving the cult more clearly, even those in the outer layers. And this is a way that we have to see this. We have to see the cult as something that has layers. It's like an onion, okay? There is like the core of the onion, which is, the most extreme, explicit fascist Zionists. And around them, there are layers of people who are less and less explicit and fundamentalist in their perception of and the way that they discuss what is going on. But in reality, they are still part of the system. So there is a lot of internal conflict inside the cult because those in the core keep attacking those that are in the outer layers, and each layer attacks the layers outside it. Okay, but there is a moment where this is like, I don't know how to explain it exactly. I don't know how to define it exactly, but there is a moment where you're like, no, I'm out of the cult. I'm not part of this anymore. And we will discuss this again, how to differentiate between those who are still within the cult and those who are outside. This is a theme that comes back again and again and again in this channel. And I think this is an opportunity to go deeply into it. Because when we define those who are still in the cult, we can see more clearly the differentiation between those people and those who actually left. Okay, so before we begin, I just want to say the usual shtick. First of all, I hope the image, the video, and the sound is working well. If there is a problem, if the volume is not high enough, if it's too high, if there is like disturbance in the sound, please tell me. Please write in the chat. Please like this video. We have 36 people with us and only 16 likes. So at least 20 of you did not click the like button. So please do it. I would really appreciate it because it helps the channel reach more audiences. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you're watching this, I hope that you will find what I'm talking about interesting and enriching. And if you do, please subscribe to the channel. The more subscribers, then the channel succeeds more. You can help in other ways. You can comment on this video if you are watching after the fact. Comment, click the like button, share this video with friends and family and enemies who you think would appreciate what I'm saying here, or who you think would get upset. That's also good, because making people upset, if what I say makes people upset, then it's good that they're upset about what I'm saying. So share this video, share other videos from the channel. If you haven't watched videos from the channel, I will recommend certain videos that are related to the subject that we're talking about during this discussion. But please go over the channel, find videos that you find interesting, watch them as well, like them as well, share them as well, comment on them as well. It helps, okay? The more you do this, the more it helps. And final thing that you can do to really support me in a very material and tangible way is to join my Patreon. I am the Hebrew Canaanite on Patreon. You can join. There is no benefit to joining, just the knowledge that you are helping me continue doing what I'm doing. Joe is writing in the chat, hello from Beirut. Haven't seen you stream in a while. First of all, hello back, and I'm glad that people in Beirut are watching me. This is, Beirut is 3 hours drive away from me. And I know for a fact that I will not be able to visit Beirut in the next, let's say, decade at least, which is sad. And this is one of the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing. I want this area to be free. I want to be able to go to Beirut. I want you, Joey, to come visit here in Haifa. And I want Muhammad, my friend who lives in Gaza, to come to Haifa to visit me. And I want to be able to come visit my friend Muhammad in Gaza. And this is, we talk a lot about theory and blah, 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 but this is the crux of it. In the end, I want freedom to move around. I want freedom to meet everyone that I want to meet. I want to be able to communicate with everyone. I want no walls. I want no borders. This is anarchy 101. Anarchism 101. No walls, no borders, no separation. So haven't seen you stream in a while? Yes. Honestly, it's been very hard recently. For me, psychologically, it's just really, really hard to get up and do the work. I feel like I'm getting out of the slump slowly. It's not easy. I've sunk into depression, into desperation, into, hate for humanity in general, and also self-hate. And I'm trying to get out of it. I will not go into this now because it's a downer. We're trying to actually do the work. But I must say honestly that it's been very difficult recently, and I'm trying to get back into business, and doing this um, more consistently. Okay. So, yeah. So I said all the things that I need to help the channel succeed. I'm watching from the trash can dumpster fire known globally as California. Welcome. Welcome, everybody watching now, writing in the chat. Thank you for writing in the chat. I hope that you have an interesting discussion in the chat as well. And welcome to everybody watching the recording of this after the fact. Okay. So, how will I go about this? Again, this is a subject that is very, very tricky because these people are very, very good at putting on a certain aesthetic. So we talk about liberals a lot in this channel, and we say how liberals are about aesthetic and not content. And this is what's so confusing about liberals, that they have a certain aesthetic of people who are progressive, people who believe in equality, in freedom, blah 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 blah. But in the end, they still are part of the system and they still serve the system. The one of my favorite expressions that summarizes this is scratch a liberal and a fascist bleeds. Okay? And we saw this, the October 7th attack exposed all, most, we will get to this, most liberal Zionists for what they are: fascist Zionists, because they said, uh, uh, you know, I sobered up. I sobered up. Now I see reality. We need to attack in Gaza. Hamas is blah 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 blah. We all know this, okay? People who watch my channel, I'm assuming that you know this. I'm assuming that you can recognize and clock and understand who are. Joey saying the October 7th attack. Yeah, I'm calling it. It was an attack. Okay, it was an attack. You can say that it was an attack that had a reason. You can say that it was an attack as part of a resistance struggle. You can say this, but it was an attack. Okay, whatever. That's not the point. Joseph is saying counterattack. Okay. I will also say that certain things I cannot say. Okay, certain things I cannot say because the Zionist regime is watching, and I can be persecuted, and I can suffer a lot of consequences if I say certain things. Okay, so just because I'm not saying these things, don't assume what my positions are. Okay, okay. Anyway, so this exposed the liberal Zionists, and I think that the viewers of this channel are they already understand how to clock the classical liberal Zionists, how to know that they are Zionists, how to differentiate between them and people who are actually part of the movement to liberate Palestine. And what I want to talk about today is not those people, those classical liberal Zionists, but people who have a better veneer, who have a better way, a more sophisticated and nuanced way to wrap up their Zionism in supposedly radical leftist language, terminology, and behavior. Okay, these are the people that I want to talk about because these people are harder to clock. It took me much longer to clock them, to understand what the problem is with them, and to understand that they are still servants of the Zionist system. And I want you to be able to do it too. Because I think it's important. Because I think that the Zionist cult needs these people. They are faithful and effective servants of the Zionist cult. And this thing, if we dismantle this this layer of the Zionist cult, it's one step further in dismantling the Zionist cult itself. If we want to liberate Palestine, we must dismantle the Zionist project. We must dismantle the state of Israel and the Zionist project. This is very simple, because why is Palestine not free? Because it has been occupied and colonized by a project called Zionism. Okay, this is the main reason that Palestine is not free. If we want to liberate Palestine, we must dismantle Zionism. Anyone who disagrees on this does not really want to liberate Palestine. This is maybe the most important point. I said it even before we went into this. Okay. So, in order to dismantle Zionism, one way that I can think of doing it is going from the outside in. This is a strategy that I have adopted, not because I thought that this would be the best thing to do, like theoretically, but because I found myself doing this more and more and more, and now I have arguments for why this is a correct way to approach this, okay? Which maybe I will go into more in this session. And what I want to do now is just to expose, and I think the first stage in dismantling is exposing. If you don't know what you're dismantling, if you cannot see the thing that you want to dismantle, then you cannot dismantle it, okay? If you don't recognize what it is, you cannot dismantle it. So this is what we're doing now. We're identifying one of the outermost layers of the Zionist cult and exposing it for what it is, a layer of the cult, in order so that we can dismantle it. Wonderful. And how will we go about it? So again, it's nuanced. It's difficult to expose this because it's so confusing. It confused me. And for a long time, I've been wanting to do this, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. And the thing that happened, so yesterday I saw a post by a person called Asaf David. Asaf David is he has a PhD in what's it called? Like diplomacy and politics, whatever. I know what it's called in Hebrew, Yachasim Ben-Laumim, international relations. Okay, he has a PhD in that, and he is one of the most representative figures of this clique of radical leftist Zionists that I'm speaking about. Okay, and he wrote a post, and I was reading this post, and I was like, okay, this post, if I just read this post and comment on it, this is a great way of exposing who these people are. Okay. When I say clique, I mean CLIQUE, like a clique of people, like a group, like a closed group. Okay, a group of people who all know each other and support each other. So, what I want to do is actually read the post and analyze it. Okay, analyze what's going on there. And my point is that it's not Asaf David himself. He is not the issue here. Okay, I don't give a shit what he specifically and personally thinks. He is not important in my opinion. But he does represent what I want to talk about, and he is a prominent figure within this group. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to read this post, and we're going to analyze it. And I just want to say a few words about Asaf David before we continue. Again, as a representative of this group, Asaf David calls himself a leftist, calls himself even a radical leftist. He is he has a PhD, as I said, in international relations, in history, whatever thing that he has a PhD in, and so he's an academic. He is a researcher in the he is a researcher for Middle East studies, which is a subject that I think. The very existence of this subject in Israeli academia is already a sign of a symptom of colonialism. Again, we will go more deeply into that later. And he writes on Facebook. And the way that he writes on Facebook is, I am the academic who is going to explain to you what the correct thing to think and to do is. And I am sensitive and I am progressive and I'm a leftist and I care about everyone. I care about Jews. I care about Palestinians. Um, I care about everyone. I'm a moral person. This kind of persona. Okay, and to his credit, and I must give credit when credit is due, since the beginning of the genocide, he was against what the Israeli army was doing in Gaza. He opposed it from the very first day. Okay? We must give credit when credit is due. We will see how what I'm saying now is not perfectly accurate, but let's just say he opposed the genocide from day one. Okay? But let's also recognize that being against a genocide is a very low bar. In reality, factual, in our present factual reality, it is unfortunately a high bar because all these people, because once you are part of Zionist society, that's it. Like 99.9% of Zionists supported the genocide. And a lot of people all around the world supported the genocide. Okay, people who are part of the system, they supported the genocide to some extent. Okay, so it's a high bar pragmatically, factually, in our world, but objectively, morally, it's a very low bar to object to a genocide. So this is something it says. Most of all, it says about how crazy the world that we live in is, how crazy the system is, how twisted everything is, that so few people meet this such low bar of opposing genocide in real time. Okay? But Asaf David was one of those people who cleared that very low bar, to his credit. This already makes him quite unique within Israeli society, okay? This already makes him he was not one of those Zionists who said, I was always a leftist until October 7th, but now I understand the truth. I understand that we must destroy Hamas and supported the war. Okay, he was not one of those. This is quite similar to Orly Noy. Orly Noy, I spoke about her in another video in this channel. You can look up, I will put the link to this video. The title of this video is I Am Being Bullied by the Zionist Cult. I will search for it now. I am being bullied by the Zionist cult. Yes, so this is a video I did 5 months ago. In this video, I spoke about many factions of the Zionist cult who were persecuting me. But in the second half of this video, I talked about Orly Noy, and I talked about how she attacked me. And Orly Noy is the chairwoman of B'Tselem organization, the human rights organization, and she is good friends with Asaf David. They love each other, and they are both part of this clique. So Orly Noy is another person who I thought was on the right side, who did oppose the genocide from the first day, which is again unique. And credit when credit is due, Orly Noy was also one of these people who opposed the genocide from day one. But we must understand that Orly Noy is still a part of the Zionist system. She is still a Zionist. She is still part of the Zionist system, and her actions still serve the continued existence of the State of Israel and the Zionist project in general. Okay. River Rune is saying, majoring in international relations in the context of the current global system usually means having a major in whitewashing. and negotiating with oppressors instead of resisting oppressive systems. Couldn't have said it better myself, and we will see this happening. This is just textbook, okay? Um, okay, so let's begin. I will open. Let me see. How will I do this technically? Let's do this. So here is Asaf David's Facebook profile. Here is Asaf David's Facebook profile. Hold on, let's close the chat windows. Okay. So this is the post that I'm talking about. It's in Hebrew, okay? And this is also important that it's in Hebrew. This is the guy, Asaf David. And yeah. And he writes about he works at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. He works in this is Haforum Lechashiva Ezorit, the forum for area for regional thinking, and this forum is part of the Van Leer Jerusalem Institute. We will talk about these soon. And yeah, he went to the demonstration yesterday. This is a demonstration. Well, never mind. Let's go to the actual post. Okay. So this is the post. Let me see. Maybe I will let Gemini translate this. I will let Gemini translate it, and then because the Facebook translation is not very good. Yeah, I'm still figuring out how to do it technically, but yeah, let's let Gemini translate it. Okay, let's share it. He looks Palestinian. I'm sure that he has Middle Eastern heritage. We can check if you want. Okay. Okay. So here's the post. It goes like this. Hold on. What's okay. Wonderful. So he looks like a poser. This is what we will see, that he is a poser. Last Wednesday, I participated in the Eyes on Gaza conference at Haifa University, organized by Professor Ayelet Ben-Ishai, Professor Ido Shachar, and Dr. Lior Levi, who are part of this clique. Okay, I don't know them so well. I know Asaf David better, but they're part of this clique. And everyone who who participated in this conference is part of that clique. Okay, I actually thought of going to this conference and maybe trolling a little bit or exposing them or just seeing what's going on there. I ended up not doing it, but I did go to another event, and maybe I'll talk about that later on. Okay. So I participated in the Eyes on Gaza conference. Okay. So already we can see something. Eyes on Gaza. Eyes on Gaza. It was a conference for Jewish Israeli academics talking about Gaza inside Haifa University, which is, an Israeli university, a Zionist university. Inside it, they were talking about Gaza. Uh, and it was a leftist conference, and it was organized and participated in by this clique that I'm talking about. Like the core of this conference was this clique that I'm talking about. And already the name of the conference, I think, is important. The name of the conference is Eyes on Gaza. What do we need to do? We need to look at Gaza. We need to witness what is going on there. We need to look at the self-importance, like eyes on Gaza, please. Let us have our eyes on Gaza. Let's look at what is going on there. Let us be witnesses to what is going on in Gaza, because that is the very least that we can do. Also the most that we can do, but that's the very least that we can do, to look at what we are doing to Gaza. Okay? This is reminiscent of another member of this clique, whose name is Adi Ronen Argov. Adi Ronen Argov has a project, and the project is the idea of this project is to show victims of what's going on in Gaza, that she doesn't call it genocide, but never mind. In her Facebook profile, she shows what's going on in Gaza. Okay, she shows that they have a name. She shows that they have a picture, what they look like. Okay, so we need to look at the Gazans. We need to observe the Gazans. We need to feel so bad about what's going on. Okay, this is what we need to do. This is the very least that we can do, and also everything that we can do. Okay, so this is already quite telling, I think. The campus was swarming with police and security guards, and it was impossible to enter the building where the conference was held without undergoing a meticulous interrogation. Let me ask you, why does he say this? Why does he feel the need to start by saying this? Why is this the most important thing that he has to say right at the start? I think that this is, so what he's saying here is, look at how much we are persecuted by Israeli society. Why is it important for him to say this? Because this is part of the image that he wants to project, the image of the radical being persecuted by the regime. Okay? And this is something that people in this clique really love doing. They love to feel like they are the ones who are being persecuted. But let's be frank here. These people did do their conference. They were able to do this conference, and the police safeguarded them. They did not attack them. The police didn't arrest them, didn't beat them up. The police approved this conference, and the police let it happen and protected it. The university let it happen. Okay? The university, they found funding for this conference. This conference happened within the Zionist structure. Okay? And was supported by the Zionist structure. So maybe they were persecuted by the more extreme, by the core, okay, of the cult. But this is exactly the kind of facade that is being created here, okay? The internal struggle within the cult is just a cover for how much the cult is actually unified about the core tenets, which is the existence of the Zionist project, the existence of the State of Israel, and the disenfranchisement of the Palestinians and the occupation of Palestine. Okay. So again, we can look at these subtle hints. Okay? And I encourage you, please, when someone is trying to present themselves as a radical, please do this kind of simple analysis. It's not complicated, it's elusive, but it's not complicated, it's not hard. You can, if you really ask those penetrating questions, you will see it immediately. Okay, so please do this. Don't fall for the fake radicals. Okay, we, in the subject of Zionism, but also in general. Okay, also in general. In the first session, one of the speakers mentioned the genocide in Gaza. Already, this is ridiculous. What do you mean? In the first session, one of the speakers mentioned the genocide in Gaza. What do you mean? Is this not the subject? Are you talking about Gaza but not talking about the genocide in Gaza? What do you mean mentioned it? Oh, she mentioned it in passing. You know, in the conference that the anti-Nazi Germans did in the University of Nuremberg in 1943, they were talking about the name of the conference was Eyes on Auschwitz, and um, they mentioned that Auschwitz was an extermination camp. They mentioned it. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? Well, this is no less ridiculous. And this is, again, a tool that we can use to expose this kind of bullshit. Just translate, just do a translation to Germany in 1942. Okay? And see if it makes sense. See how it sounds. And the moment that you do this, you will see how ridiculous it sounds. And once you realize that there is no difference between Zionism and Nazism, no deep difference, there are circumstantial differences. Some of those differences, in some aspects, Nazism is worse than Zionism. In some aspects, Zionism is worse than Nazism. Okay? But the deep structure is the same. Okay, let's continue. A young woman from the audience burst out and asked if we were claiming that her partner was a murderer. Drama. But let's again ask questions. Why was this woman there? Did she come to the conference to troll the conference? Did she come to the conference because she's a right-winger, fundamentalist Zionist who came to attack this conference and to blow it up? We will see. Why was she at the conference? Maybe she felt like she had a place in this conference. Maybe she was like, yes, I agree that we need to have our eyes on Gaza. And then only when they started using the word genocide, she was like, what do you mean genocide? This is not what I expected. We will see. I was sitting at the front. I was sitting at the front. Why is he saying this? Why is he saying this? Supposedly for the second part of the sentence. But I don't think so. I think that the implication of I was sitting at the front is that he is an important guy in this clique. I think that this is what he's trying to tell us, even if he's not aware that this is what he's trying to tell us. But this guy is full of himself. This guy wants to say, I was sitting at the front. Why? Because I'm a big shot. I'm a big shot within the Jewish Israeli radical left. I am the best radical leftist in Israel. I'm one of the speakers, right? I'm a big shot here. Please don't misunderstand. I'm not just some guy here. I'm important. So I couldn't hear everything she said. So supposedly this is why he says it. But why can't he say, I was sitting far from her, so I didn't hear? Okay? Why does he have to say I was sitting at the front? But I thought I heard her say her partner had died. Okay. Some tried to silence her, claiming there would be time for questions at the end. Okay. So again, we see something interesting. Claiming there would be time for questions at the end. Not saying, what do you mean? We are talking about the genocide in Gaza. That's not what they said. What they said was not, come on, the subject of this conference is the genocide in Gaza. You cannot be upset that we're talking about the genocide in Gaza. They said there would be time for questions. We will debate this afterwards. This is an important subject to debate, whether what's happening in Gaza is a genocide or not a genocide. We will debate this. Like, polite members of cultured society. Okay? But the frequency of her words pierced my heart. Suddenly, this guy is a hippie. Suddenly, the professor for history and international relations is a hippie. Suddenly, feelings is everything that is important. Hold on. Aren't we supposed to have an intellectual discussion about politics? Aren't we supposed to speak seriously about politics? No. Now we're talking about the frequency of her words and how it pierced his heart. Oh, it went into my heart. Oh, I was so touched and moved by her. This is the level of discussion all of a sudden. Why? Maybe because we're not really doing a serious discussion about politics and about genocide. Maybe that's not what we're doing here. She didn't sound like a troll. There was a profound heartbreak there. We know that Zionists love to be melodramatic, and we know that Zionists love to play the victim. We know that liberal Zionists love to pretend that that the problem is everything that was done to them. Asaf David wants to. He doesn't do this usually because it's too, it's too obvious. Okay, he's not like that. But when the classical liberal Zionists do this, he is sensitive to this. He says, yes, they are speaking out of genuine heartbreak. It's not that they are part of the cult and they are being melodramatic and doing the usual inversion of victim and victimizer. It's not that they're doing Darvo, exactly like Joey said in the chat. Darvo, exactly the next thing I was going to say. Darvo. So it's what is Darvo? Darvo is deflect, accuse, reverse, victim, and I don't remember what does Darvo stand for. Why are they always pretending to be the victims? Because it works. Nabil is asking in the chat, why are they always pretending to be the victims? Because it works. Reverse, victim, and offender. Yes. Reverse, not oppressor, offender. So, deny, attack, reverse. Thank you. Pockwork. Thank you for giving me the meaning of Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. This is a tactic that narcissists use. This is a tactic that cult members use. And this is a tactic that is used in high control environments like, families where they're trying to control the members of the family. And this is also a tactic that oppressors use and that oppressive systems use. And this, why is it being used? Because it works. Because it works. And when it works best? It works best when the people doing it actually believe it. When they've been convinced by the system of oppression that they are indeed the victims. This is when their melodrama is most believable, most convincing. When they've convinced themselves, religion as well, yes, it's used in religion as well. When they are when they actually believe what they're saying, it becomes the most effective. So this is why they use it. And you see that Asaf David is playing along with it. Maybe he will not use this actual language. Maybe he will not do the melodrama himself, maybe. But he will definitely play along with it when a classical liberal Zionist does it. So you see the layers. Each layer is being attacked. Each layer is being attacked by the more inner layer. The core attacks the outer layer, which attacks the more outer layer, which attacks the more outer layer. But each layer is being pulled in by the inner layers. Okay, so the radical leftists are being pulled in by the classical liberal Zionists. This is the way that the cult operates. Okay. I thought I should address her words when I took the stage. Okay. During the break, I met an acquaintance because, it's a clique. Everyone knows everyone and they're chatting in the conference. It's a conference. It's a conference. It's an academic conference. We organized an academic conference in the University of Haifa where all the academics, the serious intellectualists, go and discuss the important subject of Gaza. So we went to University of Haifa and we had coffee and we had lunch and we talked about Gaza as friends, as colleagues. We talked about Gaza. This is what we do. Very important. And spoke with him about the incident. He told me the young woman had left the hall in a state of deep distress. Oh no. Because she heard the word genocide. So she went into deep distress. And we have to be sensitive towards this. And he and several others had escorted her out. Because, in the end, we're all human, right? And we all need to help out each other. It turns out her partner was killed defending Kisufim on October 7th. It turns out her partner was killed defending Kisufim on October 7th. Now I want to show you. Google Maps. Okay? Let's go on Google Maps. And let's look up Kisufim. So this is Kisufim. Here is Kisufim. Okay? And where is Kisufim? Oh, interesting. 1950 armistice agreement line. Line between what and what? I wonder. Oh, on the other side, the names sound different. It's not Kisufim anymore. It's Al-Ma'ani, Wadi Al-Salka. Interesting. Salah Al-Din Street. I wonder what is. Oh, Dir al-Balah. Oh, Kisufim is on the border with Gaza, with the Gaza Strip. Interesting. So Kisufim is a place where the prisoners in the Gaza prison, open air prison, or the prisoners in the Gaza concentration camp, or the prisoners in the Gaza extermination camp, they managed to break out of the wall of the camp that they were being held in for generations, and they went to Kisufim. Kisufim, which is a settlement right on the wall that, like another place So this is Re'im, where the Party for Peace was, the Nova Party. And there's another place here called Magen. Where is Magen? Nirim, Be'eri, all these places that you know, Nachal Oz, Kfar Aza. There is another place in this area called Magen. Why am I mentioning Magen? I don't know. I don't know where it is exactly. Let's find it. Magen. Magen is here. You see, this is Magen. Why am I mentioning Magen? Because Magen in Hebrew means shield. Shield. There are humans here living in the place called Shield. You might even say that they are human shields. Human shields for what? For the state of Israel, for the Zionist project. And kisufim, which means yearning, what are they yearning for? I guess they're yearning to colonize Gaza as well. And kisufim is here, another place where there are humans who are shields. Another place like that. So, what happened was that the partner of this woman put on uniform, the olive green uniform of the Israeli army, and went with his platoon to this place, Kisufim, to kill those prisoners of the Gaza concentration camp who broke out and were doing whatever they were doing. I will not say what my opinion about this is, and I hope you understand why I don't say it, and I hope you forgive me for not saying outright what I think about that, because I might be persecuted for my opinions, because I'm still living in the occupied Palestinian city of Haifa and surrounded by the Zionist regime. So I will not say my opinion about this. But let's hear Asaf David's opinion about this. And Asaf David's opinion about this is that her partner was defending Kisufim. He was killed defending Kisufim on October 7th. She said in pain, he emphasizes, in pain, I am a leftist. I am a leftist. My partner was a leftist. Her partner was a leftist. He was a leftist, and the moment that he heard that the prisoners in the Gaza concentration camp broke the wall and were attacking Kisufim, were attacking his beloved state of Israel, he went as a leftist, he put on his leftist uniform, and he joined his leftist platoon in the leftist Israeli army and went to defend Kisufim as a good leftist would. Abe of Arabia is saying in the chat, my partner was an Auschwitz guard and he was a leftist as well. Exactly. I am a leftist. My partner was a leftist. I continue to study and work with Arabs. She is not racist. She continues to study and work with Arabs. We must thank this woman for having such a big heart that she is willing to continue to study and work with those with those Arabs. She is such a good woman. She has such a big heart. Her morality is so strong that she is willing to continue to study and work with Arabs. Such a leftist. And I simply don't know what to think, what the meaning of my left is anymore. Now she doesn't even know what the meaning of her left is. She used to know it. She used to know it. She knew what the meaning of her leftism is. She used to know that the meaning is that she is willing to study and work with Arabs, and that she loves Israel, and that she serves in the Israeli army, and that her partner, the leftist, also serves in the Israeli army. This is what her leftist used to mean, but now she is confused. The poor woman is confused. And Asaf David is coming to the rescue. Never fear, leftist woman. Asaf David will come to explain to you what your leftism means. At that moment, I decided bravely. Oh, he didn't say bravely. Oh, I felt that the word bravely was there. I don't know why. I decided to scrap everything I had planned to say in my session. Each speaker was allotted about 7 minutes, and speak to her, even though she was no longer there. So it turns out that the way that Asaf David works is the following. He went to the conference called Eyes on Gaza, and he wanted so much to speak about Gaza. He wanted to speak about Gaza because it's so important to speak about Gaza. And who better to speak about Gaza than Asaf David, the expert for Middle East studies? Who better to speak about Gaza? But you have to understand that something happened that he had to change his plans. And now, instead of speaking about Gaza, he has to speak to this woman. Because this woman was upset. When people were talking about Gaza, she became upset. Why? Because they said genocide. And once they said genocide, it made her think about her partner. And she was like, "What? My partner is a murderer? No way!" And she yelled, and she got upset, and she yelled, and this pierced the heart. Asaf David was sure that she was not a troll, that she was speaking, earnestly. How did he? There was a profound heartbreak, and the frequency of her words pierced his heart, so he made a change. So instead of speaking about Gaza, he decided to speak to her. He decided that it was more important, even though she was no longer even there. Not only in the hope that it would reach her, but so that it would be said in front of the audience. He thinks this is more important than speaking about Gaza. I didn't say everything I wanted to say to her in the session, nor in the way I wanted to say it, because he made a brave decision of changing everything on the spot. But I am summarizing the central message here in a few words. I wonder what the message was. I wonder. So, before we go into that message, let's talk a little bit about Asaf David. Let's see. Look up Asaf David on Google. What do you say? And see what kind, what is, what he's about. Okay? So, we're gonna search for Asaf David. This is him. And he is okay. So this is here Van Leer. Oh, I don't think you see it on the. But okay. Dr. Asaf David, Jerusalem Institute, director, the Israel in the Middle East cluster in the Van Leer Institute. Asaf has been the director of the Israel in the Middle East cluster since October 2018. He is also the co-founder of the Forum of Regional Thinking. its academic director, and the editor of its website. He teaches political science at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and has taught in the Department of Middle East Studies and the Department of Politics and Government at the Ben Gurion University of the Negev. So, what we are learning here is that he is deep inside Israeli academia. He is deep inside Israeli academia, and he does the Middle East studies. Let me say what I want to say about Middle East studies. The very fact that this field of study exists in Israeli academia, I think, is an amazing example of colonialism. Okay, because what do you mean Middle East? We need to study the Middle East. We're not part of the Middle East. We need to study the Middle East. Why do we need to study the Middle East? Different reasons. Some people some Israeli academics who study the Middle East do it from the point of view of know thy enemy. Okay, they study the Middle East in order to gain intelligence for the Israeli army and the state of Israel, so that they can deal with the problem that the Middle East poses to Israel and the Israeli army better, more effectively. Some people do it from a different angle. Asaf David does it from another angle. He does it from the angle of let's help Israel integrate into the Middle East. We have to know our neighbors and integrate into the Middle East. Okay? Mickey is saying the words Middle East are colonial speech. I agree. It is a colonial lens, and a more accurate name would be East Asia, but or Southeast Asia, Southwest Asia. You see, it's confusing me. Yes, because it's so like the words Middle East are so deeply ingrained into my brain. But yes, Southwest Asia, Southwest Asia. So this is the angle that Asaf David takes. It is still a colonialist angle, but it's more, nice. And this is exactly the kind of vibe that he has. His doctoral dissertation was about relations between the army and civil society in Jordan during the reigns of King Hussein and King Abdullah II. So what he's studying the Jordanian society. Oh, look at those Jordanians, so interesting. Asarf's research focuses on Jordan, relations between army and society in the Middle East, Arab public discourse. So Asaf David speaks Arabic, and he understands those Arabs, and he understands Arab public discourse. Okay, and through this, he can discuss Israel's place in the Middle East. This is what he wants. He wants Israel to integrate into the Middle East and to have a better place inside the Middle East. And the Middle East is an academic discipline in Israel. Again, why does this exist? Why is it a discipline? This is akin to something. If you turn on the television on mainstream Israeli television, and you see the news, then always you have the correspondent for Arab matters. This is an expression in Hebrew, katav לענייני ערבים. So someone whose job is to report on matters of Arabs. Seriously, this is a job in Israeli news shows. Okay, so in Israeli academia there is Middle East studies. Oh my God, really? Carol is asking in the chat. Oh my God, really? Yes, really. Yes, really. Yeah, when you grow up in this society, this seems natural to you, but then at some point you're like, hold on, what the fuck? Okay. So Let's see. Let's see. So he is part of the Van Leer Jerusalem Institute, and he is the co-founder of the Forum of Regional Thinking. Let's go back to Gemini and ask Gemini something. Okay. I heard that people were saying there is some problematic aspects of using AI. I know this, but it's going to be helpful now, so I'm using it. Okay. So, please. Okay. So, what are the funding sources for Van Leer Jerusalem Institute and the Forum for Regional Thinking? Let's see. Okay. So, the Van Leer Group Foundation. What is the Van Leer Group Foundation? It was established by the Van Leer family. The Van Leer family is a Dutch Jewish family, and the patriarch of this family was a staunch Zionist. Okay, and in the 1950s, this family gave a lot of money to Zionist universities and Zionist intellectual projects. Hi. Tudo. I have tea now, which is nice. Thank you to Tamar, my girlfriend. The Polonsky Foundation, European foundations, Rosa Luxemburg Foundation, Volkswagen Foundations, Israeli and US partners. The New Israel Fund, הקרן החדשה לישראל, is a fund that is a Zionist organization that collects donations from European governments, from the US government, and from the Rockefeller family, and from other rich people, and gives it to Israeli human rights organizations, like B'Tselem, for example. So Orly Noy, who we mentioned before, she is the chairwoman of B'Tselem, and her paycheck comes partly from the New Israeli Fund, so partly from the US government, European governments, and the Rockefeller family, and other such sources. So the funding for this comes from the system. The Forum for Regional Thinking, hosted by Van Leer, joint projects, NGO grants, collaborations. Yeah. So some of it is independent donations, but hold on. So the Van Leer Institute is funded by the US government, European governments, rich families. Let's see. She will say yes, okay? Oh, she says no, but you have to press her. It is essentially a private foundation from a rich family, though it receives smaller specific grants from various, okay, Van Leer, German foundations, US philanthropy, New Israeli Fund, Schusterman Family Philanthropies, Polonsky Foundations, Israeli government funds them. Foreign governments. Occasionally, they receive small specific grants from European governments, like Germany, for cultural or academic exchange, but this is a tiny fraction of their total, 32 million shekels, which is around $10 million budget. Okay, so we need to push this more so to expose the actual details. And this is something that I want to do more of. To go deeply into the funding of what I started calling the human rights industrial complex. Okay, there is such a thing. Adi Kalai from the Reverend Reeve channel talks about this a little bit, and I want to talk about it more, but it requires some research, okay, some going into documents. And but bottom line, the research and the activity of Asaf David is funded by the US government, by European governments, by rich Zionist Jewish families, by the Rockefeller family, by the system. By the system. Asaf David's paycheck is paid for by the system. Okay? He is an integral part of the system in a material sense. And if he were really a radical leftist, he would do a material analysis of his role within the system and be honest about his material role within the system, and hopefully would try to dismantle this, okay, and disengage from this. But he is not really a radical leftist, so he doesn't do this. So we radical leftists, actual radical leftists, have to do this instead, okay. And I will do this in a future video. I will expose this, the human rights organization industrial complex, academic industrial complex, okay. The same goes for Jewish Voice for Peace and basically any non-profit organization, says Carol. Yes, yes. But it seems to me that the subtext of what you're saying is, but everyone does this, so it's okay. No, the subtext, what should actually be the subtext is that Jewish Voice for Peace is also suspect and is also part of this complex, okay? And therefore, you should not trust Jewish Voice for Peace either. Okay? So, let's continue with the post and see, having understood his material position in the system, let's see if he still remains unbiased, or if he actually or if it affects how he speaks. So let's do this. A message to the young woman. My heart goes out to the young woman who spoke. Her heartbreak is the heartbreak of all of us. I think that's it. I think you don't need to read any more than this because everything is already there. Let's start from the end. All of us. All of us. Us. Who does Asaf David mean when he says us? And I think that this is something that exposes supremacists and collaborators with oppressive systems in such an accurate way that we must learn this. It's a trick, it's a hack, okay? Try to notice who the speaker means when they say us. In this case, when Asaf David says us, who does he mean? He means Jewish Israelis. Because otherwise, of course, Palestinians who live in Gaza don't share this heartbreak, right? Of course, someone who lives in China or in Chile or in, I don't know, Mauritania doesn't share this heartbreak, right? So when he says us, he means Jewish Israelis. He means Zionists, but never mind. He means Jewish Israelis. That's what he means when he says us. If when someone says us, he means rich people, then you know that they are a capitalist. If when someone says us, they mean Americans, you know that they're a nationalist, an American nationalist. If they mean Western people, you know that they're a Western supremacist. If they mean men, you know that they're sexist. If they mean white people, you know that they are white supremacists. If they mean, civilized people, you know something is going on there. If they mean humans, if when they say us, they mean humans, then you know that they are a human supremacist. When I say us, I mean everyone. I mean all living beings. I usually don't use this expression us because it's an expression that is used usually to define the in group and as a result the out group. And once you have an in group and an out group, then the in group is who is important and the out group is not important. And for Asaf David, the in group is Jewish Israelis and the out group is everyone else, and especially Palestinians. But if you use the word us, please only use it to mean all living beings. Okay? That is the only acceptable use of it, in my opinion. So he says all of us, and when he says us, he means us Jewish Israelis. Her heartbreak is the heartbreak of all of us. So he says that he shares the heartbreak. The lack of knowledge regarding what the left is now or what the left should do is shared by us all. So here is a small point that comes from this, a corollary from this. When Asaf David says us, he does not mean me. I am not part of his us. Therefore, when he says us, he really means Zionists, okay? I do not share this heartbreak. I do not share a lack of knowledge regarding what the left is now, or what the left was, or what the left should be, or what the left should do. I do not share this. The left is leftism is the political stance that is against oppression, that is against hierarchy, that supports equality, liberation, and justice for all. This is what the left is. It was always the left, and it always will be the left. You know why? Because the left is an abstract concept, first and foremost. Okay? And what should the left do? You can disagree with me on what I'm saying now, but I know what I think the left should do. I think the left should continue dismantling systems of oppression in every way possible. And what I'm doing now is part of it. Is this the best thing to do to dismantle systems of oppression? I don't know. Is it the best thing that I can do to dismantle systems of oppression? I don't know. But it's the best thing that I could think of right now to do. So I'm doing it. I don't have such doubts. I don't share Asaf David's doubts. So there is a fundamental difference between Asaf David and myself. And I think the fundamental difference is that I am actually a radical leftist and he's not. He just calls himself a radical leftist. We are not speaking to her from the stage as an omniscient narrator. But let's admit that you are. Let's admit that you are standing on a stage and speaking to her from above. So what narcissists love doing is denying that they're narcissists, okay? But I think that he is a narcissist. I think that he is a narcissist. And this leads me to another point that we must put emphasis on. Supremacists are always also narcissists. There can be many different ways in which they are narcissists, but they are always also narcissists. This is why I say that Zionism is also a collective narcissism. It's also a collective pathology of narcissism. Okay? And I think that all of supremacy is a collective pathology of narcissism. And I think that this is not just an abstract realization that we can have just for the sake of having it, but also a useful tool for differentiating between people who are actual radicals, who are actually for liberation, equality, and justice for all, and between others who are just who just have this image of being for equality. And what is the difference? We have to identify their narcissism and we have to call out their narcissism. Okay? So, for example, if you know Achinoam Nini, a singer who calls herself Noah, who is maybe she is also part of this clique of the radical leftist Zionist clique. Okay, and she is textbook narcissist. Okay, if you look at her speaking, look up Achinoam Nini. Achinoam, I will write in the chat. Achinoam Nini. Look up her singing or speaking, and you will see just textbook narcissist. And this is the way that you can see that she is not really. She says she's for peace and coexistence and blah blah blah. It's easy to clock her, okay, because she is a normal classical liberal, okay, but she is so obviously a narcissist that you can see these traits in others, and you can see the narcissism in Asaf David as well. And he loves being on stage, and he loves talking down to others and explaining to others what should be done. And then he loves denying that this is what he's doing because he has this humble brag. You know, he uses this humble brag. Tamar is saying, among the people who liked this post are also Adi Ronen Argov, who I mentioned before, and Anat Matar. Anat Matar is also part of the. Maybe I should do another episode. I should map out this clique. I should do another episode talking about Adi Ronen Argov and another episode talking about Anat Matar and exposing these people. We, as the left, so you see, he considers himself a leftist. If you ask him what is your political position, he would say radical left. That's what he would say. Are on her side. I as a leftist, this is what Asaf David is saying. I as a leftist am on the side of the woman who is upset by the word genocide to describe what's going on in Gaza because she thinks that this means that her partner was a murderer. We are all in the same boat with the same doubts and deliberations. Let me say very, very clearly that I am not in this boat. I am not part of your boat. I'm outside this boat. I'm drowning in the sea. If this is the boat, then I'm drowning in the sea. Okay? The national pain. So the leftist is talking about national pain. A leftist is talking, a self-proclaimed leftist is talking about national pain. I thought only fascists talk about national pain. I thought fascism sees the nation as an organism that can have emotions. I thought fascists use melodrama to create a narrative of one collective, one national collective. I thought that's what fascists do, but apparently Asaf David, as a radical leftist, also does this. I wonder why. Is shared by all of us. And there are those who bear, in addition to it, a personal pain that is unbearable. Her pain is unbearable. Her partner defended Kisufim on October 7th, and he died, so her pain and loss is unbearable. Someone who fought and was... I was saying this sarcastically. I didn't read the next sentence. I was saying this sarcastically, but then the next sentence is him saying this seriously. Someone who fought and was killed defending the state and its citizens is not a war criminal. He is not a war criminal. He is not. The guards of Auschwitz are not war criminals. And I add here, he is a hero. This is the way the radical leftist Asaf David sees this soldier who came to Kisufim on the Gaza wall on October 7th and tried to defend it. He says he is a hero. He is not a war criminal. He is a hero. We do not know what individual soldiers and officers did in Gaza. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know what they did in Gaza. And stop pretending like you do know. Yes, 70,000 people were killed, but we don't know who killed them. By the way, I think hundreds of thousands of people, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people were killed, but Asaf David will say 70,000. And he will also say, we don't know who killed them. Stop, splitting hairs and thinking about who did kill, who didn't kill. We don't know. We don't know. We do know from many testimonies, including those of soldiers and officers, that we have committed terrible and large-scale war crimes in Gaza. Not a genocide, he will not say genocide, but terrible and large-scale war crimes in Gaza. And again, I want to say, I personally did not commit any war crimes in Gaza. I personally was completely and utterly against everything that happened in Gaza from day one and from way before that. And I expressed my objection to this in the most public and most direct ways. And therefore, when I say we, I do not mean those who perpetrated the genocide on Gaza. I am not part of it, okay? I'm not. I was against it. I worked against it. And Asaf David still sees himself as the group who perpetrated the genocide in Gaza. And about Asaf David, I will say, yes, you are responsible. You are responsible. You know how? By doing this bullshit. You are responsible by playing along with the system. You are still part of the system. You are willfully collaborating with the system. You are gaining material rewards from collaborating with the system, and therefore you are responsible. Joey is asking, did you serve in the IDF, in the Israeli army? I don't call it the IDF because that's part of Zionist propaganda. And the answer is yes. I did it when I was 18, and I regret it. And I think it was a horrible thing that I did. I did it because of social pressure. I did it because I was convinced by my family to do it. I was convinced by my family and my environment to do it. And I think it was a wrong decision. I think it was a horrible decision. I think I collaborated with the system. And I acknowledge my collaboration. And I cannot change the past, but I can do what I can, what I can now to make up for it as much as I can. Maybe it's impossible to make up for it, but I'm trying. But Asaf David is still calling Israeli soldiers heroes. Soldiers and officers usually do not stand trial in international tribunals. And this is not just a factual claim by Asaf David, this is also a normative claim. He thinks that this is good. That soldiers and officers do not stand trial in international tribunals. Why? Because they were just following orders. They were just following orders. They were honestly and sincerely trying to protect their country. Senior commanders and leaders who commanded, led, guided, instructed, incited, ranted, fanned the flames, and refused to calm down or seek calm, most certainly do. So suddenly his tone shifts. Suddenly he cannot have enough criticism for these people. Okay? Why? What is he doing here? What Asaf David is doing here is intentionally separating between normal Israelis and the leadership. Why is he doing this? We will soon see. The responsibility of the regime. Now, this is the point. This is the bottom line of what he's trying to say. We are in the hands of madmen who declared a regime coup in January 2023. Despite being warned repeatedly by military security top brass that they were abandoning the state and its citizens to an inevitable catastrophe, they dismissed and mocked those warnings, and thus brought October 7th upon us. Suddenly, he has no problem, you know, speaking directly. He is not mincing words. What Benjamin Netanyahu says, what the leaders say, that doesn't pierce his heart. Their frequency does not pierce his heart. Now he has nothing but condemnation and criticism for the leadership, the insane madmen. At the end of the first stage of the war, which lasted about 3 months, the army announced, okay, so there was a first stage of the war. The first 3 months of the war, not genocide. We wouldn't want to offend this woman, right? So we want her to listen to us. So we're not going to call it a genocide. We're going to call it a war. At the end of the first stage of the war, which lasted about 3 months, the army did its job. And it announced that Hamas's military frameworks had been dismantled and proposed ending the war, returning the remaining living hostages, and allowing a legitimate Palestinian government to enter Gaza and gradually replace Hamas. Okay, so much to unpack here. So, as YouTubers love to say. So, the first thing to unpack here is to see that Asaf David is not categorically against the Israeli army. He says that the Israeli army was responsible, behaved responsibly, okay? And did its job to dismantle Hamas. This is what needs to be dismantled, right? Hamas needs to be dismantled. And the Israeli army did dismantle Hamas in the first 3 months of the war. And also, in a responsible way, alerted the government and said, we did our job. We dismantled Hamas. We can end things on a good note. After 3 months, we can do a hostage exchange and everything is okay. And we can, we can end things here. And if they had done this, then a legitimate Palestinian government could have entered Gaza and gradually replaced Hamas. What does that mean? It means that Hamas is illegitimate. The Israeli army is legitimate. The Israeli army is, is professional. The Israeli army just wants to dismantle Hamas, which is an illegitimate terrorist organization. The soldiers in the Israeli army are not murderers. They're not criminals. They're not war criminals. They are heroes. But the members of Hamas, they are terrorists and they're illegitimate. This is what Asaf David thinks. The Netanyahu regime decided against it. The evil, insane Netanyahu regime, as opposed to the sane leadership of the Israeli army, decided against it, dragging us. Oh, we were kicking and screaming, and they dragged us into 2 endless years in which we ran amok without interference. Hold on. Weird. So they are insane, and they dragged us against our will into 2 years of war. But in this war, we ran amok without interference. So which is it? Which is it? Were we against the war or were we for the war? I will tell you exactly. 99% of Jewish Israeli society was for the genocide, was for it. They supported it, they participated it, and they attacked anyone who dared express any doubt about this or God forbid, resistance to it or criticism against it. Okay? And Asaf David knows this. How does he know it? Because he did express criticism of it. So he got this he knows that 99% of people, even after a year, were still for it. He knows this, and he is lying intentionally. Why is he lying? Why is he lying? So now I want to refer you to another video that I did, which is about the B'Tselem report. Okay? So, what was the title of this video? Um, Our Genocide. What was the title of the video? Tamar, do you remember the title of the video? Maybe you can let me see. So it was another video live stream where I talked about the B'Tselem genocide report that came out 2 years into the genocide and finally called it a genocide. And the narrative of this report was exactly what Asaf David is doing here. Okay? Oh, it was called Two Zionists Too Late. Yeah. Hold on. Two Zionists Too Late. B'Tselem's new genocide report. So let me share it here in the chat. And you can watch it so that you could get more of the context to this. This report created a narrative in which the point of the narrative was to whitewash the Israeli genocide and to do exactly what Germany did after the Holocaust that they perpetrated on the Jews. Okay? Exactly that. So they created a narrative, they crafted a narrative in which the extreme right wing, messianic, deranged government hijacked Israeli society and convinced them against their will to do what they wanted to do, which turned out, oh no, it turned out to be a genocide 2 years later. And the goal of this is to allow liberal Zionists to say, oh, I was tricked. I was fooled. I didn't want to support the genocide, but alas, I supported the genocide. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is the classical shooting and crying of liberal Zionists, yorim vebochim in Hebrew. So you shoot, and after you shoot, you cry, which is exactly what narcissists do. They hurt you and they hurt you and they hurt you. And afterwards, when they can't deny it anymore, they go, oh, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. Like that. The Netanyahu regime decided against it, dragging us into 2 endless years in which we ran amok without interference, committing terrible war crimes, including the starvation of. Now, suddenly, why can he talk about it now? Because he already framed it in the correct way, that it's the responsibility of the regime, of the Netanyahu government. It's the government that did it. It's not us. It's the government. We fell for it. You see? And then he can talk about this. And now you see how it's a clique, because they help each other. They so B'Tselem did this report. Of course, they consulted with Asaf David before, because Asaf David and Orly Noy are good friends. And then now that the report is out, now Asaf David can use the same terminology and the same narrative to speak with that classical liberal Zionist woman and speak to her heart, because she touched his heart. And all the hearts are together, and kumbaya, and peace and love. Starvation of the population and ethnic cleansing that even former senior officials have dared to call by name. Very brave of them. Along the way, the regime got rid of anyone who tried to stop it from implementing its insane policy and establish an authoritarian rule that is pushing us all into the depths of the abyss. That's the problem. Not Zionism. The problem is the Netanyahu government, not Zionism. Did you see the word Zionism anywhere here? Did you see the word Zionism? No, right? Because these people never talk about Zionism. They never talk about the Zionist project. They never talk about the Zionist ideology. They never talk about the Zionist cult. And of course, they will not call to dismantle Zionism. Why? Because to them, Zionism is and should be transparent. And the moment that an ideology, a project, a cult is transparent, then it is the most effective. So they want to keep it this way. The path to repair. What is the path to repair? To dismantle Zionism, right? Because the genocide was perpetrated by the Zionist project. The Zionist project, for generations, has occupied Palestine and created an ongoing genocide of generations and a process of genocide, of colonialism, imperialism, genocide, and ethnic cleansing for generations, right? So we need to dismantle the Zionist project because the Zionist project perpetrated the genocide, right? If you're a radical leftist, this is what you think, right? If you're actually for the liberation of Palestine, this is what you think, right? Well, Asaf David does not think this. Asaf David thinks that the path to repair is the Netanyahu regime bears an immense, inconceivable responsibility. Not us, not Jewish Israelis, not Zionists. The Netanyahu regime bears an immense, inconceivable responsibility. It must be held accountable. Not Zionists, the regime. First and foremost to us, the citizens of the country. And then in international courts. So, who are the real victims of this genocide? The real victims of this genocide are us, the citizens of Israel. We are the real victims, which again echoes the Our Genocide report, which frames Zionists as the real victims. And the Netanyahu regime bears an immense, inconceivable responsibility and must be held accountable to us, the citizens of Israel. Palestini, what? They bear responsibility to Palestinians? No. To us, Israelis. This is what we say in the conference titled Eyes on Gaza. When we title a conference Eyes on Gaza, then of course it needs to center Israelis. Right? And then maybe in international courts. Okay. Our pain as citizens over what was done to us and what we have done. The cognitive dissonance is ridiculous at this point. Will continue to accompany us all for many decades to come. Because we are the real victims here. The repair required of us is also immense. But it has an opening move. So, you remember where Asaf David said that we are not an omniscient narrator and we don't know what the left should do? Well, 3 paragraphs later, he does know what to do. Interesting. Our pain is the repair required of us is also immense. But it has an opening move. The ousting of the criminal, corrupt, and destructive Netanyahu regime. And it has to follow, and it has follow-up moves. We, as the left, propose starting the repair now to prevent terrible losses like that of the young woman who spoke. The right proposes that we continue to kill and be killed forever. Now you choose. You need to choose between exactly 2 possibilities. One possibility is the possibility of the right that supports the extreme, deranged, fundamentalist, blah, blah, blah regime. Or you can support the left. And the left, who is the left? The left is me, Asaf David, who wants repair, who wants to talk about how much we are all victims of that deranged regime and demand that we start the path to healing and participates in a conference called Eyes on Gaza and speaks for 7 minutes and doesn't mention Gaza even once. and doesn't include the very existence of the Palestinians. Listen, listen, look, no Palestinians here. This is his speech in the conference called Eyes on Gaza, and the Palestinians still do not exist in it. Only once, when it's mentioned that we need to replace Hamas, which is what Asaf David also believes. He also believes that Hamas is illegitimate and needs to be replaced, which was the Zionist propaganda goal for this war, right? When the Israeli army attacked Gaza, what did they say? They said, we need to dismantle Hamas. And Asaf David agrees that we need to dismantle Hamas. And he is still spreading the Zionist propaganda. Why? Because he is a Zionist. Why? Because he has a role within the Zionist system. So, I've been going on for a long time as usual, but let me just wrap this up. There is a clique of people within the Zionist system, within the Zionist cult, who call themselves radical leftists, who call themselves human rights advocates, and who think that they are God's gift to humanity in general and to Palestinians in particular. But in reality, they are Zionists. They don't want to dismantle Zionism. They don't want to even acknowledge Zionism as a project, as an ideology, and as a cult. They don't want to acknowledge that they're part of it. They don't want to acknowledge, and they will never talk about how their paycheck comes from it, from the system. They don't want to dismantle the system. They are actually supporting the system. And they're doing it in a way that is much less obvious than others. This makes them more dangerous. And we need to dismantle this clique. We need to expose it for what it is. We need to not fall for these people. And these people exist everywhere, okay? Those people who pretend to be radical and are actually servants of the system exist everywhere. And please, use the tools that we went over in this session, like asking what they mean when they say us, like asking whether they're narcissists or not, like asking what they say and what they don't say, like asking what their where their funding comes from, what their role within the system is, what their actual position in the system is. If someone has a high position in the system, if someone is, you know, a researcher, a well-respected researcher, someone who appears on media, someone who has a lot of following, they are immediately suspect, okay? Use those tools and ask yourself, are these people actually radical or not? And please use this on me as well. And if you see that I'm not really radical, please call me on it, okay? Please tell me, no, you're not really radical. Hopefully, the way that I think about it, about myself, is, yeah, of course I'm not as radical as possible, because no one is, because it's a process. But the way that I want to do this process is to be open to listening and to hearing about the places where I'm not radical enough, and doing the work and becoming more radical with each passing day. And Asaf David will not. When you try to criticize Asaf David from actual radical leftist positions, from actual anti-Zionist positions, from actual liberationist positions, he will attack you or ignore you or ridicule you or frame you as, crazy, as extremist, as a purist, and so forth and so on. Okay? But if you are a leftist Zionist who feels such pain for her partner, who was a hero and died and was killed, then he does have sympathy for you. Okay. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this session. I think this is a subject that I will want to go more deeply into. Um, but for now, I hope this was interesting and enriching. And please like the video, click like. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you think this is interesting, subscribe to see future videos. Share this video or other videos from the channel with your friends who you think will find it interesting. Um, Comment on the video, create engagement, watch other videos from the channel, comment on those, like those, share those. Um, and if you really want to support me, you can do so on Patreon. My name on Patreon is the Hebrew Canaanite, like the name of the channel. So thank you so much for being with me. And free Palestine, and free the entire planet, and free all living beings, and dismantle all oppression, dismantle all oppressive systems, dismantle all hierarchies, liberation, equality, and justice for all. Bye bye.